Hey everybody, it's me JTJ, and today I'm going to be talking about some SpongeBob theories I have. There's two. I'm going to go into the shorter one first because, let's be honest, we all want to hear the short one before we hear the long and possibly fun one. I find it fun. I also find the short one fun, not going to lie. But so, for all you real fans of SpongeBob, the ones who like the original seasons of SpongeBob, you guys are going to love this theory. I'm pretty sure someone has already come up with it and talked about it, but remember that episode where Flats, the flounder, he comes to SpongeBob's boating school and basically tells SpongeBob, I'm going to kick your butt. Well, here's my theory on Flats the Flounder. And again, if someone's already beaten me to the punch, feel free to tell me in the comments. But I'm pretty sure he was hired by Mrs. Puff to beat the crap out of SpongeBob. So SpongeBob would be so scared he would never come back to boating school again. I mean, think about it. Here's one factor. You see SpongeBob go forward to Mrs. Puff and tell Mrs. Puff why basically he tells Mrs. Puff that Flats is going to kick his butt, and then Mrs. Puff says, well, no student of mine is going to do this. This is an adult program. And then she goes back to SpongeBob and says he's from a place where kicking your butt means I want to be your friend. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's just bullshitting SpongeBob just so he'll get the message. So SpongeBob is just going to be relentless and be like, I got to get out of here. I need to leave. And here's a factor. You see Flats' dad hanging out there, yet, let's be honest, I think they're either brothers or, yeah, I'm just not gonna go there, but maybe gay lovers, and maybe like he's supposed to wait for Flats there, and he was told by Flats, if anyone asks who he is, he's just Flats' dad or something, because he's probably older looking, and he doesn't want there to be more questions asked, which is kind of funny. And then here's another fact about Flats. He drives a fucking truck. Think about it. He's driving a fucking truck. And he's going to boating school to learn how to drive. Why is he in boating school if he can drive a fucking truck? I mean, yeah, he could probably be trying to renew his license or something, but wouldn't he just have to go to the DMV and get his license and all that? Why would he go to a boating school for all this? I'm just saying, he drove a truck. And then at the end of the episode, you see Mrs. Puff very angry that SpongeBob, didn't get the shit kicked out of him by Flats. Let's talk about that for a second. Why was she really mad? Was she mad that she wasted her money paying this guy to scare SpongeBob into leaving? Or was she mad because it looked like SpongeBob hit a student? I'm pretty sure she probably thought that SpongeBob either beat him up or he couldn't get the shit kicked out of him by Flats, which made her mad either way, because, let's face it, her goal was to get rid of SpongeBob. She paid the guy from the beginning, let's be honest. I mean, it's just a theory. If you all don't think it holds up, just remember what I said about the truck. I mean, who goes to boating school just to get their license back? I would just go to the DMV, I suppose. But I only had my license for about 7 years, so what would I know? Anyway, now let's get into the long and I think fun theory. Maybe this is the short theory because who knows? Maybe I underestimated it, but let's talk about SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward. What do all three of these guys have in common? They're neighbors. They live in the Bikini Bottom. They're possibly billionaires or something. Maybe not billionaires, but they have to be rich. Let's talk about Patrick first before I get into Squidward and SpongeBob. Patrick lives in a rock. Yes, he lives in a rock. And yet he's able to buy Krabby Patties from the Krusty Krab quite frequently. He buys Krabby Patties, yet we never see him do anything for work other than mess with Squidward or mess with SpongeBob. And the guy's lazy. So how's he able to afford Krabby Patties, right? Anybody? No? And let's remember one more key factor. There was an episode in the terrible later seasons where you see Patrick reveal that he got his cufflinks and he turned out to be a rich millionaire or some shit like that. Maybe he is a rich millionaire. The question is, where does he get his money and how? And why isn't it more explained? Well, one theory of how he probably gets his money, maybe he won the lottery. We never see much of his parents in the show. There was that Patrick Star show, but let's be honest, we don't talk about that. But it couldn't be his parents. I'm just saying, he probably didn't have rich parents. So it's either he won the lottery or... No, it has to be he won the lottery. Or he slipped on an ice cube somewhere and sued for a lot of cash. Either way, it's just kind of like, you know? And then let's go into Squidward for a second. Look at his house. Look at Squidward's fucking house. I'm sorry if I'm loud in this video. But like, Squidward... This guy has a fancy house and a job at the Krusty Krab. Yes, he actually works, unlike Patrick. But let's talk about the fact that he probably gets paid jack shit, yet he's able to afford a lot of luxurious items. Look at how his house looks. Look at how it's like 2 stories tall. And, you know, he has a lot of fancy shit. And, yes, he probably spends a majority of his money on painting and clarinet stuff. And he may act like he's poor. But let's think for a second. There was even an episode in the god-awful later seasons where you see him buy a security system for his house. And this looked like some high-tech shit. Like, you saw that, right? It's baffling. Now, I have a few theories on where he might have got his money from. Either he robbed a bank quite successfully, or maybe a bunch of banks quite successfully, I don't know. Or maybe he gets royalties for something his dad did. Like maybe his dad was a famous clarinet player. I mean, we don't really get much mention of who his father was. The only time we get any mention of his dad is in the episode where SpongeBob thinks Mr. Krabs is a robot. And, well, all it is my father loved me very much, or whatever it was he said. For right now, it's like, so maybe his father did love him, maybe his father didn't. Maybe he's trying to be like his dad and hope his dad will approve. That's why he tries to play the clarinet. Who knows? Another theory, which comes from something a YouTuber said about Squidward. The YouTuber's name, by the way, is Alex Bale. He does some interesting theories on SpongeBob. I recommend you check out the link in the description to the video that this comes from. Maybe Squilliam and Squidward are secret lovers, and Squilliam pays Squidward to keep his mouth shut about it. Because Squilliam doesn't want people knowing he's doing Squidward or something. I don't know. But why the heck does Squilliam fucking mess with Squidward so much? Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Squidward doesn't want Squilliam to know that he's, with Squilliam. But then again, why would Squilliam be paying him to keep his mouth shut about it? It's confusing. Now, let's get into SpongeBob, which I think there's an easy answer to how he's rich, and it's pretty damn obvious from the very beginning of the entire series. So, proof that SpongeBob's rich, not to bring up the Squidward argument, but look at SpongeBob's house. It actually has a lot more than Squidward's if you think about it. For one thing, there's the kitchen, there's the living room, there's SpongeBob's bedroom, and then there's that fancy-ass library that you rarely ever see in the show, yet it's there. And the question is, why is it there? I mean, maybe SpongeBob made his money through, he was maybe some kind of novelist. I'm sorry, that's too funny. I doubt he's a novelist. But I'm just going to point out the obvious. SpongeBob also works at the Krusty Krab, and there's proof that SpongeBob makes jack shit there too. And in the later seasons, you see SpongeBob when Mr. Krabs said the fine he had to pay was 10 cents, and then SpongeBob goes, "That's more than I make in a year." It's like, what does Mr. Krabs pay him? But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But here's my main theory of how SpongeBob is rich. You see his parents from the very beginning. Look at him. Look at how his mother is dressed. She looks like fucking Jackie O. I forgot her name before. She was Jackie O, which was Jackie Kennedy. But still, look at her. And, okay, I'll give you that. SpongeBob's dad doesn't look rich, but think about it. It's just fucking, it has to be his parents. Maybe his mother was like some kind of rich billionaire or millionaire's daughter who inherited a shitload of money. And SpongeBob's dad was just some, I don't know, guy who married her because why not? I don't know how it all works. Billionaires, millionaires, they can be pretty eccentric at times. Which I'm going to get into. Why does SpongeBob and Squidward work at the Krusty Krab? Well, for one thing, we all know SpongeBob loves the Krusty Krab. He just adores working there. And as you notice, it makes sense that SpongeBob is clearly rich because you see in an earlier episode when Patrick starts working at the Krusty Krab with SpongeBob so Patrick can win an award. You see SpongeBob say he paid Mr. Krabs to work there. So, is Mr. Krabs secretly getting paid by SpongeBob to work at the Krusty Krab? I mean, it makes sense because Mr. Krabs is a cheapskate. But here's why Squidward works at the Krusty Krab. He thinks if he has to struggle, he'll make good art. Because he thinks if he acts like a commoner, he's obviously going to make good clarinet music, which, to be honest, I don't know if there is such a thing as good clarinet music. If you clarinet players want to beat me up on the street, I give you a free pass to beat the shit out of me for making that comment. But maybe he thinks he can write some kick-ass clarinet music if he's in touch with the common man. Maybe Squidward is a masochist and likes to suffer. I don't know. He might be eccentric, like Patrick clearly is. Patrick isn't a sociopath. Let's face it, that guy is crazy. That guy is an asshole. But Squidward clearly works at the Krusty Krab because he purposely wants to suffer. Which, it's just kind of fucked when you think about it. But that is my SpongeBob theories. Let me know in the comments what you think of my theories. If you disagree with them, I completely understand. But I enjoyed talking about them today, and I'm glad I finally said something about them, and I had fun doing it. But till next time, stay tight.